State Assembly District 9, we have Minddie LLoyd and Diana Orrock. If each candidate could give us a 1-minute summary about their background. Let's start with Ms. LLoyd.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me here this afternoon. My background is I've been here since 1995 in Las Vegas. I currently work as a judicial aide for Judge William Kephart, who is our district court here in Las Vegas. My background is I am an advocate for our community, doing a lot of work for domestic violence and the trafficking issues here. And I am a huge supporter of anything with law enforcement and our first responders. I feel like I'm the best candidate for this position because you know, as all we are faced to our state, not just in my district, is a huge feature of devastation. And I look forward to representing our state in that.
Ms. Orrock?
Thanks for having me today. I am a 53-year resident here in Las Vegas. I'm highly invested in this community, married, have 3 grown children who also live in this community, 2 grandchildren, and have received 2 degrees from UNLV, pre-med degree and nursing degree. And I worked at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I was actually the first female criminalist hired by the lab back in 1975, and I worked as a toxicologist for APL labs. I've got a nursing degree. I worked in pediatric nursing as a staff nurse in charge nurse at UMC, and got totally immersed into the world of politics around the year 2000, and absolutely love it. I'm now retired from nursing, but I've been involved in the Clark County Republican Party, not just as a Central Committee member, but also as a district trustee in 2 different districts, depending on where I lived. I've chaired the Open Day Dinner. I've always been on the state Central Committee as well. And in 2012, I ran for National Committee Woman, and I'm currently serving in that capacity. And very much looking forward to going to the national convention. It's going to be very interesting.
All right, let's start with some questions. We'll start with Mr. LaFava.
Sure, I'm sure.
Test. Okay. I'm Scott LaFava, and I'm with Citizens for a Better America, as well as Conservatives for Energy Freedom. After he said, I asked the students at CSN to come up with a question today. And one of the questions they had was pretty interesting. We'll start with you. Will you promise to break Nevada Energy's monopoly? This relates to the issue around solar energy.
Yeah, let's get to the microphone. So that relates to solar energy in terms of availability to the citizens of our district. And by the way, I'm a voter in District 9, so I'm really interested in these answers personally.
As a voter in District 9 like yourself, I am concerned with our solar issues, with what's going on. I believe that right now there's a lot of issues that that needs to be fixed, and I look forward to our state and for our future assemblies and to strengthening any language to help fix our solar energy issues as well.
Okay. Let's move over to Diana. Diana, I'm going to ask you a totally separate question, and it revolves around the legalization of recreational marijuana, and we'd like to hear your position on that today.
I think that there is a lot of merit medically for marijuana. It has been proven time and time again to have health benefits, for relieving pain, lessening seizure activity, grave concerns about the recreational aspect of that being legal in any state. I've seen what has happened in several other states that have gone that route, starting off with the medical marijuana and then going to the recreational legalization. And there are so many problems with the regulation of that, so that it doesn't harm the community, the citizens in the community. So I would have to draw the line on wanting to take that step into legalization for recreational.
Just a quick response from you on that in terms of recreational marijuana.
I would agree medically, and specifically for those who are faced with autism. It hasn't been thoroughly approved yet, but I believe there is a necessity that can help our autism community, that are those that are faced with that. And the recreational use for me in a criminal standpoint,
Mindy, my name is Tellis, I'm a DJ, and questions for both of y'all, but I understand you're a women's rights activist, correct, or something? Well, my question to both of you is, do you believe women are receiving equal pay compared to men in the workplace? And if you don't, what are you willing to do to make sure women get, the equal pay, or is that something that you're, I guess, that you focus on in your campaign?
did you want me to answer?
Both of you guys.
Oh, okay. I think that should be, as in the state issue, I think that should be equal for men and women. And whether we're advocating for women's rights, it's just we're advocating for pay for those who are able to work. I think that's just common sense. You're going to get paid for that.
I think that if it's an equal sort of job for men and for women, certainly equal pay. But there are some jobs where physically women are not able to compete as a man would. So in that respect, I don't think it's fair to expect the women to perform at the level of the man simply because they're not able to physically. That being said, overall, I think nationally, women are compensated equally as men are, and other issues that need to be taken into consideration are the maternity issues. If a woman wants to take off, for child care after a child is born, I know they've implemented the paternity leave for the fathers, and but I don't think it's an issue really anymore of women being grossly underpaid as they were at one time. Not in this case.
This question is for both of you. What kind of experience have you had working or helping the veterans over your lives, working lives? And if elected, if you could do one thing to help the Nevada veterans, what would it be?
In my background, being in front of the courts every day, we see a lot of our veterans that have come back from after dealing with their service. Our town is, we're very a unique state, a 24-hour state, whether it's, gambling and drinking. And when our men and women have come back from their duty, they come back, but really their minds are not here. So it forces them to not be forced with their families. And what happens when, let's say that they are involved in a DUI, not only is it the veteran that's faced with that issue, it becomes your military family. Your military family could be your immediate family to your military friends and family, and those that are protecting you within your your force. Should I be a voice for our veterans up in the state of Nevada, I think what's more important is that they need better access, specifically to our veterans hospital, because I know they're doing everything that they can, but it's not enough. Not enough to where they're making them wait and forcing them just to give them some type of medication just to hold them over. You know, better access to better resources that actually work. You know, and people that are not just there, that have created these positions for employment, but actually are there for our veterans and families.
In addressing that, I haven't worked directly with any of the veterans groups over my lifetime, but I do support the veterans in the service that they've given us to this country. I get disturbed at the level of involvement a lot of our soldiers and military personnel are sent in order to get involved in local conflicts overseas. It breaks my heart because most of those missions are not even constitutional. They're not a direct threat to our national security, and yet these brave men and women who are in service, you know, oftentimes end up getting killed or maimed and harmed in so many ways, and they require a lot of services once they're back home again. And like what Minddie had said, so many times they wait forever to get the services that they need, and they're put on medications and categorized as having mental health issues, and I'm sure many of them do, but they need to be adequately diagnosed. I think that the health services for veterans and the care that they need after their service is something that's desperately needed in every state in the country, and certainly in our local states. You know, we have so many that are on the streets too. It's homeless. It's a big issue.
Thank you. I have perhaps if you've been here, you know my question. It's the same one on all panels. And that is, we know that there's a serious need for increased resources for mental health services. It's very much underfunded and underserved in Clark County and perhaps in Reno as well. However, this is a crying need in our community. But I'm going to do something a little different, not give you each the same question, but address first of all, Ms. Lloyd, because of your involvement in the judicial system, what would you propose to do as an assemblywoman in the Nevada legislature to increase the service, mental health services for the citizens of Clark County?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Well, what would you do as an assemblywoman in the legislature?
No, I said, what was your name? I wanted to.
Okay, they take the name tags away.
It's
I'm
not
Robert
okay.
Luke. I'm a former judge and a practicing attorney, 42 years.
So, you know, here's how I look at that. When we talk about our military, we always recruit for the best guns, the best guys to fight for us, whether it's the best candidates to speak for our state. We don't recruit enough of the best to represent these positions of mental health. We have these jobs that are there, but they are not the best qualified people at hand in these positions. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're saying. I'm just asking, what would you do? Okay, because as an assembly person, you know, your job primarily is to pass legislation, change the laws, increase the programs or whatever. So I'm trying to keep it within that context.
Right. Again, it's about, you know, strengthening the languages and putting in place better programs specifically for mental health. That's the thing.
Hi, Mrs. Orrock, since you've had extensive experience in nursing, you've probably come across the Legal 2000 rules, and probably dealt with a lot of patients in the hospital setting who are there because of mental illness, mental health problems. Would that change your, or help your perspective in what you would propose to do in the Nevada legislature to improve mental health services in Clark County?
Well, in pediatrics, I didn't run across mental health issues quite as much as you might think. but-
Okay, I didn't know what your...
But that being
Yeah.
said, we have several avenues currently for receiving care for mental health issues. I think what we need to do is look at those services that are in place, see how effective they are with the public funding that they're receiving, and there has to be accountability for the money that's being spent on behalf of these mental health patients. And if they're not producing the results that they should be and providing the services that they should be, then either they should be eliminated or they should be consolidated with more effective agencies that are meeting the needs of the mental health patients.
All right, thank you very much.
My name is Tim Batar. So I'm a Global War on Terror veteran and the only millennial here, I'm assuming. So my question is for you on specifically how you would vote as an assembly member representative. So a lot of millennial Republicans like myself are in favor of legalization of marijuana. We don't see a point in standing prudent to this kind of thing. So my question to you is, on any issue, whatever it be, would you vote how you think things should go versus the will of the people? So if, let's say we got together and said, hey, Assemblywoman, we want to legalize recreational marijuana, but you're against it. How would you go about that question of whatever issue you want to bring up? But the question of direct representation or implied representation.
Well, I think with the, like I stated earlier, with the legalization of marijuana issue, you have to look at how all the constituents are affected. And if you look at some of the states that have passed the legalization of marijuana, like up in the state of Washington, the parks, the beautiful parks that they have by the waterways are now overrun with people that are just like stoned. And it's gotten out of control. My older son and his wife lived up in Washington for many years, and they saw the change once that legislation went into place. Now, that's not to say that in a case like that, you have to have proper regulation. There have to be consequences for behavior. So, not that it couldn't work, but you would have to take such a close look at how something like that can be put into place where everybody in your state would be, they wouldn't be negatively impacted by, somebody's choice of wanting to use marijuana legally. Just like with drinking alcohol, it's a regulated product. You can't drink and drive or, use the product in the improper way where it impacts others in your community as constituents. So,
I would agree that, stated, if it is the law, everyone respect it, you know what I mean? But if it's for a medical necessity, I am for it. Not my perspective, but I would look at it as it's a necessity of other people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Daphne Lee, and I'm a local civil liberties activist. As you guys, I'm sure you're well aware that we've had a revelation that we have warrantless spying of every American currently in our country by our federal government. And while there have been shallow attempts to rein that in, nothing has occurred. And right now we have about 4 presidential candidates left. And as far as I can tell, none of them have taken a stand to protect your privacy. So where would each of you feel it's appropriate, or would you feel it's appropriate? Would you support legislation at the state level to interpose against the federal government by, say, not complying with the NSA or taking away resources from the NSA at a state level to help combat that federal encroachment on your Fourth Amendment rights?
I'm really kind of clear. I'm opposed.
If you were a legislator and you had the opportunity to support a bill that would basically stand up against the federal government from spying on us, would you support it?
If it was in front of me, the issue that is in front of me, I would oppose it. But would support it, should it be, again, support it if it was in favor of the people without it going against our rights. Maybe that.
Well, this happens to be an issue that's near and dear to my heart. As an RNC member, back in 2013, I introduced a resolution that condemned the blanket surveillance of all American citizens for the sake of security by the NSA. And I didn't get it passed at that meeting in the summer of 2013, but I worked on it over the months until the next meeting, and in January of 2014, at that winter meeting in Washington, D.C., my resolution was unanimously adopted. And I think what happens is those resolutions are then incorporated into the platform, and it also needs to go to the U.S. representatives in each of the states. And I personally saw to it that it did go to our U.S. representatives here in Nevada. And as a legislator in the Assembly, I would certainly look at passing a measure to protect average everyday citizens who are in no way suspected or associated with terrorism from that sort of blanket invasion of privacy. It's terrible. It's your emails, it's your text messages, it's your phone calls. It's far too invasive.
Thank you both.
Good afternoon, ladies. My name is Robert Faust. What are you going to do when you get to, if you get elected to the state assembly? What's your agenda? What's the one reason that you want to be in that position that you can be a state lawmaker?
Well, for me, I've signed the contract with Nevada, and if any of you have seen the contract with Nevada, it's 10 common sense things that those of us who have signed that contract would like to achieve once we're in office. It spans from repealing the commerce tax to getting rid of Common Core in our schools, beefing up the Children's Privacy Act. There's far too much private information that's being obtained by the school districts that have nothing to do with the child's education. Strong Second Amendment stance, et cetera, et cetera. Those goals are part of what I would like to achieve. The other is returning the federal lands back to the state control here in Nevada. I mean, we're the only state that has 83 to 85% of our lands controlled by the federal government. Far too much.
I think what you hear most of the time during this election race is that all of us have pretty much close to the same agenda, from the taxes, our education. For me, it's about our communities, our veterans, and the most important part is keeping that promise and doing what you say you're going to do.
Ladies, thank you for being here. Cindy Lake. Ms. Orrock, first and foremost, since you've signed the contract with Nevada, have you also signed the Taxpayer Protection Pledge, and how would you have voted had you been a legislator in the last session on the $1.1 billion tax increase?
Yes, I have signed the Taxpayer Protection Pledge. I did it on November 19th of last year, and I would not have voted for the commerce tax in light of the fact that that last November, the margins tax went down in flames by nearly 80% of the voters. And if any of the Republican legislators that were running for office had run on the platform that I'm going to run so I can raise your taxes, none of them would have been elected or re-elected. And yet, they got into office as being supposedly conservative, fiscal conservatives, and ended up a majority of the Republicans signing on and voting for the college tax. There was a strong group of about 10 of them who did not do that, and I would like to increase the numbers of that particular group.
And just to append to that, what does being a Republican mean to you?
To me, a Republican means being a fiscal conservative, a strong supporter of the Constitution that you swear an oath of office to, making sure that your legislation that you're looking at passes constitutional muster, and reducing the size of the government and not raising taxes.
Thank you. And Ms. Lloyd, did you get all those
Yes, I did.
questions? Okay.
Yes, I would have voted against the tax rate. But one of the reasons for that is that when we talk about the 10 that we are discussing the name, we call them the one-termers, the one-term people that we hope that will not come back to Nevada. It's sad because, one, they didn't think about the people enslaved, the people that had put a lot of promise into them to putting them in that position. It's affected a lot of businesses that I've seen fail and double their taxes. Issues that you and I talk about, you and Diana, everyone in this room, things that we all fight about. And it's sad that the people that we have brought there, that they were so easily rolled over to our governor on request of doing it on behalf of our people.
Have you signed the pledge?
I have not, but I plan to. I plan to.
And what is are you a Republican?
I am a Republican, I am an American, and I can, but it is at the end of that. And being a Republican is not just about party. It's what is for me, it's representing the great huge effort of our founding fathers who fought for me and you and my family and her family and everyone in this room. And big song.
All right, well, I think if each candidate could just give a 1-minute summation, and then we will conclude. Let's start with Ms. Lloyd.
Thank you for having me here. These issues are very important, and every day we live these issues. And it's not just about getting an answer, it's getting something done as a whole, as a community, as our state. And as a voter, I hope you would think of me and think I'm your best candidate for your district. Oh, okay, thank you.
I'm not allowed to give opinions.
When I look at the last legislative session, it really breaks my heart because for the first time since 1929, we had a majority of Republicans in both houses of the state house. And I think it was such a travesty of what they did, such a blown opportunity in not being able to represent their constituents like they were supposed to. And for me, that's critically important. I think most of our legislators have lost sight of what it is to be a representative. I mean, if I get elected, I work for you. You guys don't work for me. And I don't know too many legislators who think about that anymore. And so I'm there to be the best representative of my constituents that I can be, and certainly hope that I can win this race.
let's have a round of applause for both of you.